Jumping is one of those skills that everybody wants to learn on their mountain bike, and it's quite natural once you've mastered the skill of jumping or clearing one jump that you instantly want to take it to a set of jumps and make your way through 4 or 5 jumps in a row, which taps into a completely different skill set, and it's a fair bit more difficult. So today I'm going to try and break that down and make it easier for you by explaining them points and hopefully helping you to clear that set of jumps. Right, Cara, welcome to the video.
Thank you.
You're the perfect example for this video to be looking at what you're doing on the jumps and hopefully helping you get through them, because that's something you're kind of learning at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think jumping a jump on its own is completely different to a liner jump, so this should be quite interesting and will hopefully help me in getting to the bottom of the line.
I think the first place that we should start, or begin this one, is with you just going through the jumps, because I need to see what you're doing.
Yes.
To be able to give you some pointers and hopefully help you to move forward.
Sure, right, get to the top then.
Here she comes then. So the things I'm going to be looking out for are basically in the landing zone.
That was all right. Like, I need a bit more speed, I think. I'm casing them and then going into the next one and obviously casing that. But I think, yeah, what are your thoughts? Tell me where I'm going wrong.
Right, first things first, that was a pretty good run. It might look like kind of obvious that she cased all of them, but sometimes when you're doing that, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, you're like, where do I find that tiny bit of extra speed? So the first thing that we're going to check, and I'm sure Cara's already done this, but it's actually the bike setup. For jumping, you want to make sure that everything is pretty stiff, because soft tyres create drag and they create movement on the lip, which causes unpredictability and results in a loss of speed. And if you're using full suspension like what Cara is, then you want the bike to be pretty stiff, because otherwise all your energy in those bomb holes is being sapped out of the bike, which basically makes it really hard to clear the jump.
Back tied pretty.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
That's all right.
Suspension. Yeah, it looks alright. It's not like so soft that it's just losing everything.
No.
The bike's all set up now and we've come up to the rolling, and the reason we're starting here is because this particular set of jumps has a nice long run up, which is good, but it can also be a bit of it's another factor to consider. So the first thing we're going to be thinking about is how you manage your speed into the jumps, and I know that's something you struggle with. So my tip to you guys is jump the first one, see what speed you need to clear that perfectly. Once you've got that locked in, you're then ready to flow through the set. And one thing that helps you to clear that first one consistently is when you've got a big area like this, try and be really mindful of what you're doing on the way in. So as you approach the jump, make a point of where you start, make a point of what gear you're in, make a point of if you're braking at all, where you're pumping, because then you're consistently going to be hitting that first lip at the same speed.
Yeah.
Which, if that's the speed you need to clear it, it means that you've got that first initial speed for the line right, which is really important for actually maintaining the speed down the rest of the set of jumps.
I'm going to be using this post here as my starting marker. I'm now ready to drop in. Right, got my post, I'm starting here. Front wheel on the line. Right, and what I'm going to do is just, I'm going to do one pedal. There we go. Roll in from here, see if that's the right speed. Nice.
That was good. It was a good jump. You executed it well, but it's exactly the point. It was so perfect is what I'm trying to get across with this video. So you basically went a bit too quick, you overcleared it, and you missed the sweet spot of the jump landing to get the pump. So although you might think I need more speed to clear perhaps the second jump, in actual fact you're getting the first one wrong, which means that in turn it's having a knock-on effect down the rest of the line. So I'm going to do a demonstration and show you exactly where to land, and then you've got something to work on, okay?
It's so hard to know, like, because I actually thought that time I had it perfect.
Yeah.
But
that goes back to what we're showing, and that it's important that your rolling's right, because you might be inconsistent. You might do one overcleared, one there. So if you can work out what you're doing from the top, then that's going to help get that right, which in turn then helps get that right, and then it helps to be consistent. So you can see by them two clips the difference of where I'm landing compared to
Yeah.
you. And basically it's kind of going on to the next point already, but the landing is the most crucial point because that is where you make or break your speed, and getting that sweet spot and hitting the zone where you pump is so crucial. And you basically landed in that zone, which meant that you couldn't pump it. So therefore you've lost, although you feel like you're going faster, you've actually lost speed by getting that bit wrong. So probably sounds a bit confusing. Hopefully the demonstrations are helping to make it a bit more simple. But before I go on about pumping and where that sweet spot is, you need to get it right so you're actually in that zone to show the people.
Right, I'm going to change the post that I'm starting at. I'm going to start at this one so there's less of a run up, because I think I'm gaining too much speed as I'm entering the jumps, and that's causing me to over clear. So that's what I'm doing, see if that helps. Right, literally I'm a tiny little push off there, rolling.
Right, that was perfect that time.
Thank you.
Got that nice. So as you can see from that clip, that Cara landed at the top of the landing with her back wheel. Some jumps, if they're a bit steeper, then obviously you want to come in nose first, but I think on this one it's quite a sort of flat landing for safety, and if you nose into it then sometimes that can make you lose speed. So you was right at the sweet spot there, and you're now ready to get into the next bit, which is the zone where you start to pump. Pumping is one of, if not the most important skill that you will learn on your bike. It comes in so handy in so many different scenarios, and basically, for those of you that aren't aware what it is, in any sort of curve or transition, whether that's a berm, the bottom of a jump, a roll-in, a takeoff, when it curves, if you push really hard with your arms and legs and push into it, it generates speed. These jumps have a big curve at the bottom of them, and I'm probably stood roughly now in the sweet spot of the curve. So at this point in these jumps, once you've landed perfectly up there, you get a split second to concentrate, and when you get to here, what you need to do is you need to push really hard into the ground, and what that does is it gives you an increase in speed, and that is how you flow a set of jumps. Before Cara gives pumping a go, I'm going to demonstrate to you that if you can pump correctly, you don't even need speed at the start. So I'm going to start on the roll-in from a static start and just push and pump my way through the line. Right, Cara's dropping in and she's going to give us a demonstration now of what she thinks pumping is, and then I can help her from there and see if it's improved. So we've got good run up, perfect landing, pump. Yes. Wow. KJ, that was sick. You done that perfectly. Like, that was, I know you're not a beginner jumper anymore, like you are comfortable, so you was able to adapt the first skills of clearing that first tabletop perfectly, but you got that perfect, you pumped, you carried your speed. At one point you was actually going too fast.
I know, I had to brake, I did brake.
Yeah.
I used to pump in all the wrong places and it did nothing, so you're wasting your energy there. But once you try and do it a bit more, you know when to do it, and it definitely makes such a difference.
You was actually going too quick in them jumps there. So as much as I'm saying that pumping and pushing through is important, at that point you've got two options. You can either be super gnar and pull up really hard and use that speed to create airtime, or what you can do is, like we was doing at the start, regulate your speed.
Yeah.
Because you're always aiming for that perfect landing, and sometimes you do build up momentum, and if the jumps are running quick, you find you get 2 or 3 perfect, overclear the 4th, and then you have to stop for the 5th. So I think you need to do it again and try. You got a bit wobbly. It was good, but you did get a bit wobbly and a bit out of control in the middle. And if the jumps weren't so easy, you might not have made it so good. But that was sick. Let's see you ride more.
Thanks.
Right, we're looking to mark her on her speed regulation. We want them all smooth. Good, good, good. Oh, a bit of a case. Oh, she cleared the last though. That was really good, but I think that you made up speed, you cleared the last, so it shows you're pumping, but it also showed that like your management and regulation is quite sort of inconsistent, which if that was gap jumps, it could have a big consequence.
But do you know what though? That, for me, I find is the hardest thing to perfect, because you might you might put a tiny little crank, like a movement of the pedalling at the start, which then makes all the difference. And it's just finding that like perfect spot. And like I said, I could, like, pumping is quite inconsistent and it takes a long time to know exactly when to do it, and sometimes that's a bit off for me still. Like, I might pump in the right spot or I might not, so speed is sort of like a, you know, it's not always going to be exactly the same every run. So that's something that I'm learning to do, and as we just saw there, it wasn't, on one of the jumps it wasn't enough, but then I made it up in the end.
Let's do it. Go. Yes, that was perfect the whole run, wasn't it?
That was the perfect one.
Yeah.
That was the best one I've ever done.
That was literally the perfect run then. No cases, no overclears.
I've never done it that perfect ever.
Is that the best it ever? Did it just flow?
Yeah,
yeah.
It actually, and honestly, I can't quite believe that I'm doing this.
No, it's sick. So a few little tips, like, you weren't bad at the start of the video, but you also was like, didn't really just look like you didn't know what you was doing.
Yeah, it's just because you don't, you know, you just try and work these things out yourself, but when someone like you can explain it all, it makes perfect sense, and then you put it into action. And then you get the results. That very last jump on that line, I'm actually getting quite a big boost on it. So I think, Tom, do you want to get it in slow motion so everyone can see the steez?
Boosty, that was sick, Cara, nice.
Thank you.
I think it's fair to say that you've learned a lot in a short period of time this afternoon, and I'm sure you'd agree with me, but there's probably plenty of you watching this that have mastered jumping. You've done the hard, but you're just trying to figure out how to put a line together, and hopefully some of these tips will help you to learn it as quick as what it has Cara this afternoon. One thing I just want to mention before you then take this to a gap jump, don't ever hesitate to pull out or abort the mission. And what I mean by that is, if you cased the one before, or you overclear it and you don't have the speed for the next one, pull out. I've seen a lot of accidents where people have tunnel vision, they're going for it, and that creates or results in a crash. So you can always come up and have another go and get it perfect the next try. Let's do a quick recap of what we've learned in today's video. It begins where you start on the rolling, and you need to figure out exactly what you're doing so your speed is consistent, whether that's braking, pedaling, pumping, just rolling, whatever it is. Figure that out and make sure that you're landing and clearing that first jump absolutely perfect. Once you've got that dialed, you can then figure out what you need to do for the next jump. So do you need to pump, do you need to brake, and you use these two things to really regulate and control your speed throughout the line. Every line's different, every scenario is different, even down to the weather. The jumps might be running soft, so you really have to pump them and work super hard. Once you've got that dialed, it's literally just a case of applying that to each individual jump, which can be hard when you've got 5 or 6 jumps in a row. It's not always the easiest thing, but it's basically, that is basically what you do. So how's it been from your perspective as a beginner?
So for me, I would say, like, I've learned today the importance of pumping, because there's often times where I'm like, oh, I'm doing everything the same, like I'm pedaling and I'm still not getting enough speed, and it's because I wasn't pumping before and like pushing out of the lip and getting that extra speed through that. But also as well, like, these things don't happen overnight. Like, I've spent quite a few years of trying to get pumping perfect, and it's still not, like you've seen in today's video. It swings
still
around
here, there, everywhere. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But that was really good. Smooth landings as well. You was over, like, you thought you had to go faster at the start. That's probably such a common mistake. I'm going to get through that line, but I need more speed. So you go faster at the start. Faster isn't always faster.
It's really not.
Yeah.
No.
And I think we've definitely proved that today. So I hope that you guys have found this video beneficial. If you have, give us a thumbs up. Please leave your comments below, and we will both see you guys very soon.